At a young age, the fact that you were so into music and so into those things, was that because you were seeking a refuge, or was it because of any kind of pain that you might have been experiencing?
Certainly. It
Yeah,
must have been, right? Like,
because for me, and I think that's where I was like, when I met you, I was like, oh, he has that same, like, he gets it in that
right.
way. Because for me, that was why I got so heavily into those kinds of things, was because I was searching for myself in a way.
Right. Well, if you are alone or you feel alone, music is like the greatest thing in the world, right? Like it's there for you. And if particularly if you find music that speaks to you and you can relate to, right? It's funny because I was alone physically from, say, like a traditional family structure, right? Like my mom worked and then I started working quite young, and we were a family, but we were all pretty busy and doing our own things, and we weren't like necessarily at the dinner table every night together and that kind of thing. But I did have friends, and and I used were seeking out other people that were into the same things as you as well, right? Like it was like, oh wow, like I can hang out with you. You understand my language, you understand what I wear, you understand the music I listen to. People think as you get older, you just kind of like fade away and you lose interest in life and things. And I still find that I'm the outcast at 49 years old. I'm still the outcast.
Mhm.
Like, and I don't choose it. It's not like I'm like looking for it. It's just, you go out for 30 years in New York, or 30 some odd years in New York, and you've kind of seen it all and done it all. And then you're like, I don't really need to go out anymore. And then it's like everyone else still wants to go out and drink and, party or whatever. And you're like, well, that's not that interesting to me anymore. Like something else is interesting to me now. And then you're alone again. Like you find
Yeah.
yourself like the only one who's like, doesn't anyone see that this isn't interesting anymore after 30 years? Like, why am I the only one who thinks like this isn't exciting anymore?
Yeah.
And there's no explanation for it. You just move on. And, alcohol just became like, okay, like I've done it all. I've been drunk in every situation you could be in. Like, I don't need to do this anymore. And again, you're alone, right? Everyone's still drinking, and here you are sober, and you're like, this is weird, like.
But it's such a testimony to that, going back to that kind of inner lens or your compass. It's such a testimony to your independence from society, observing society, but investigating truth independently, and then holding yourself on that path, which is uncommon. It's uncommon for someone to be so deep in themselves. And I love, it's very inspiring for you to share your process, that inner process, because I think we talk a lot about evolution. I just think people don't know what it actually looks like in life. Like they want it, but it takes courage. You know what you were just saying, here I am alone again. I had a wonderful friend and mentor, and she said to me at the end of her life, she said, the goal of any human is to be alone in a crowd. And to really feel the reality of it, the independence of it, the freedom in it, the love in it. It's not disconnection from people. It's understanding that we are together and we are also never going to be merged. We can't become society. That's not the path of evolution. So I love your description, because
Maybe you can explain that to some of the people in my life, because there's a complete, it's beautiful the way you described it. I appreciate that, because there's an absolute misconception, right? It's the thought is like, oh, you're antisocial. Right? That's the people like, oh, you're antisocial. You don't like, I'm like, well, no, it's like, it's more, I'm the opposite. I'm very social, but like, I can't be truly social and truly connect with people in a room of 500 people who are just having these like really quick passing, oh, how you doing? Good to see you. Kiss, kiss, see you later. Like, that's not a real event for me. That's not a real connection. So why bother? I guess I don't have the patience anymore for kind of like casual acquaintances and casual kind of connections. I'm probably seeking deeper connection with less people,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's interesting. But that being alone in a crowd makes sense.